Most people assume that feeling like something is wrong with you means something actually is, that it's a sign of instability, anxiety, or a mind that simply can't settle. But psychology research suggests something quite different. For a large number of people who carry this feeling, it isn't evidence of a broken mind. It may be evidence of a very specific kind of one. Many people who live with this persistent sense that something is off don't actually have a diagnosable problem. What they have is a nervous system that was trained very early to stay on alert. Cognitive psychologists often describe this as a state of chronic background distress. Not depression, not anxiety in the clinical sense, but a quiet hum of wrongness that follows a person through otherwise normal days. And understanding where that hum comes from changes everything. Here are 7 surprisingly common psychological patterns found in people who always feel like something is wrong with them. 1. They struggle to feel fully present, even when life is good. There is a psychological phenomenon researchers call anticipatory dread, the brain's tendency to scan for an incoming threat even when the current environment is safe. For people who carry this background sense of wrongness, the good moments don't land cleanly. Instead of relief, they feel a quiet tension. Something must be about to go wrong. The calm itself becomes suspicious.
2. They apologize constantly, often for things that aren't their fault. When the nervous system is wired to believe something is wrong, the mind begins looking for a cause, and the most available cause is always the self. Psychologists link excessive apologizing to what's known as self-blame attribution, a pattern where a person automatically assigns responsibility for discomfort to themselves, even when no real fault exists. It isn't weakness, it's the mind trying to find something it can control. 3. They find it difficult to accept that others genuinely like them. Compliments feel suspicious, warmth feels temporary. There's a quiet internal voice that translates "I love spending time with you" into "they just don't know me well enough yet." This is connected to something called negative self-schema, a term used in cognitive behavioral therapy to describe a deep, largely unconscious belief that the self is fundamentally flawed. It doesn't show up as dramatic self-loathing. It shows up as a steady, low-grade disbelief in positive evidence. 4. They are exhausted in ways that sleep doesn't fix. This is one of the most quietly painful parts of this pattern. The tiredness isn't physical. It comes from the constant low-level labor of monitoring. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's center for planning, self-reflection, and threat evaluation, stays unusually active in people with chronic background distress. The brain never fully powers down. It keeps auditing, it keeps checking, and that continuous internal surveillance costs something, even when the day itself was completely ordinary. 5. They feel safest when they're alone, but loneliest when they get there. Social situations carry a hidden tax for people in this pattern, the effort of performing okayness, of smiling at the right moments, of not letting the wrongness show. So solitude becomes a refuge, but once alone, without the social performance to focus on, the feeling often returns, louder. Psychologists describe this as an emotional avoidance loop. The relief strategy and the source of distress become the same thing.
6. They have a high sensitivity to shifts in tone, energy, or atmosphere. A slightly clipped text message, a room that feels quieter than usual, a friend who seems distracted. Where other people might not register these signals at all, people in this pattern notice them immediately and begin constructing explanations. This is rooted in hypervigilant social monitoring, a calibration that develops when a person's early environment required them to read emotional cues quickly in order to stay safe. It becomes so automatic, it feels like intuition, because in a way, it was trained to be. Now consider this for a moment. How often are these behaviors misread,
by others, and by the people themselves. Someone who apologizes constantly may seem insecure. Someone who can't fully enjoy the good moments may seem ungrateful. Someone who monitors every shift in tone may seem paranoid. But sometimes what looks like a flaw from the outside is actually a nervous system doing exactly what it was shaped to do. These aren't personality defects, they're adaptations, and there is a significant difference. 7. They have always carried the quiet sense that they are fundamentally different from other people, not better, not worse, just somehow misaligned with the world around them. This is perhaps the most telling pattern of all and the hardest to name. It's not social anxiety, it's not introversion, it's a deeper, more diffuse sense of being slightly out of frequency with ordinary life, of watching others move through the world with an ease that feels almost foreign. Psychologists connect this to early attachment disruption. When a child grows up in an environment where the emotional ground felt uncertain, the self develops around a persistent question, "Am I okay?" And for some, that question never fully receives an answer, so it keeps asking itself. And perhaps that's the most important thing psychology keeps returning to about this pattern. It isn't evidence of a broken mind, it is the evidence of a mind that learned, in a world that once felt uncertain, to stay alert. The feeling of wrongness was never random, it was a response, a logical one. And understanding that, really understanding it, doesn't erase the feeling overnight, but it does change the question. Not what is wrong with me, but what happened to me, and what does my mind still believe about that? That shift is small, and it is where something important can begin.